Our next lesson is going to be on scale drawings and models. What is a scale drawing or model? Okay, so a scale drawing is obviously something you draw on a piece of paper. A scale model is obviously something that you build. It is used to represent an object that is too large or too small to be drawn or built to actual size. So architectures use this a lot. If you think about Legos, when you build Legos, you're not building the actual size of like a ship. That's kind of like a model. Or the architects, when they build or draw blueprints, those are models as well. What is a scale? So a scale is determined by the ratio, or basically a fraction, it's a comparison of a given length on the drawing or model to the corresponding length of the actual model or object. So if you look at a map, all maps have scales. Obviously, if you look at a map and it's on a little sheet of paper, it says 1 inch is 25,000 or 250 miles. So when you're looking at a sheet of paper of the map of the United States, that's not the actual distance. So some people want to find out the actual distance or want to see how far they're traveling, so they can use the scale and measure your piece of paper to know how many actual miles it is. How do we find the scale of the object? So the lengths and widths of the objects on a scale model are proportional to the length and width of an actual object. So you can find a scale by creating a proportion. Okay, we've done a lot with proportions. Remember, use a variable for any unknowns. So when you're making your proportion, you want everything to match up. So for example, let me get my pen. If we are comparing inches and feet, you want to compare inches to feet, inches to feet. Okay, do you see how they match up? Inches are on top and feet are on bottom. Or if you wanted to do inches to miles equals inches to miles, you see that the inches are on top, the miles are on bottom. So make sure that they match up. So let's take a look at an example of how to find the scale. So the pillars on the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. are 17 feet tall. A scale model of the memorial has pillars that are 5 inches tall. We want to find the scale of the model. So we have 17 feet is 5 inches. We want to know how many feet is 1 inch in the model. So then you would cross multiply. So we have 17 equals 5x. We want to get x alone, so you're going to divide by 5. So if you divide 17 by 5, will give you 3.4. So in the model, 1 inch represents 3.4 feet. So let's take a look at an example of how to find the actual size. So when the scale is already given to you, it's pretty easy. So on a map from Kansas City to St. Louis is 13 inches. Okay, obviously we know in the real life it is not really 13 inches apart. On the scale, on the map, 1 inch is 20 miles. So we want to know the actual distance in St. Louis to Kansas City. So if we have the actual in this, if we have the scale, that's one side of your proportion. So we know 1 inch is 20 miles. If we measured it and it's 13 inches, so remember inches and inches on top, we want to know how many miles is this. Okay, so you would do your cross multiplying. So we have 1x equals 20 times 13. 1x is just x. Okay, multiply that together. We have 20 times 13 is 260 miles apart. Okay, so on the map it's 13 inches, but in real life they're actually 260 miles apart. So this is what we will be doing in class tomorrow and for a couple days. We'll be looking at maps and we'll be looking at other figures.